PlayStation is rolling up its sleeves to take on competing digital game services.
But what does it mean? Is it the future of digital video games?
Hot take! So, just recently, the PlayStation Now service has had a price drop.
Yep.
It is dropped significantly from $20 a month to $10 a month.
Yep.
Cut right in half, all the way through, up to like a 1-year subscription and stuff. Not only that, but also they started offering some bigger titles within the program. We got Grand Theft Auto 5, God of War, the new God of War, the newest God of War, Uncharted 4, and infamous Second Son. Not the newest games in the world.
Yeah.
But still very big titles.
Big titles,
especially
right?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Absolutely. There has been a lot of conversation going on about digital streaming services becoming the future. Now, in today's episode of Hot Take, we're going to be talking about 3 services, primarily 2. We're going to be talking about PlayStation Now.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
And we're going to be making fun of Stadia. But before we get to those, we have to talk a little bit about PlayStation Now a little bit more, because this is kind of the most important one. Now, PlayStation Now is available for free for 7 days. I picked up the free package. You could be purchasing it for a lot less than it was available the day before that day, I guess. It's
okay,
like $2
if you wanted to get in monthly,
Yeah.
yes, it's been cut in half, and it seems to be very much competing with Xbox Game Pass. But as you said, there are things looming in the future. A lot of other companies are trying to get your money.
Yes.
And game services everyone's trying to do a thing.
Yeah. Hold on to your wallets,
All right,
folks. It's
so-
going to get crazy.
So Shane, with your 7-day free trial and
Yes.
stuff, like we talked about PlayStation Now in the past, and it wasn't really for us, but we'd sat on getting back into it for quite a long time. So with the 7-day trial, you dabbled a bit more than me. What did you think? What was your hot take, if you will?
Bad.
Meh.
It's really not that good. Look, folks, I'm a fan of Xbox Game Pass. I think I've said that a million times. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later.
Yep.
But what you need to know about PlayStation Now is that it's not very good. There is a massive library of games. Let's make that really clear. I was shocked to see how many games were on offer here.
Over 800.
Yeah,
I
it's a
did.
lot.
I did the math. Actually, I found an article that said it's over 800. But
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at this service, believe it or not, there are no PlayStation 1 games. None at all. Okay,
yeah, that's weird.
I mean, that's like you would think Sony would be like, hey, you know, guys, look at all these games. No PlayStation 1 games.
It's not like they could have those on a device that is like, I don't know, 15 years old, like the PSP.
Yeah.
Which they did.
They did.
Anyway,
right? But it doesn't matter.
continue.
Now, the PlayStation 2 library on there is small, but there are some pretty cool games on here. Now, I want to make this clear, just in case you don't realize this. All the games you're seeing on the screen right now, all those games are actually running off of a PlayStation 4 system on a server somewhere. They are upscaled, better versions. I would argue better versions
They
of
look
the original
better.
PlayStation 2.
They certainly look better.
They're running at a higher resolution.
Yeah.
These don't look like the original PlayStation 2 releases.
Mm-hmm.
I can't confirm 100% how they run, but the times I've played them, they've done pretty well. Now, all those PlayStation 2 games can actually be purchased separately on the PlayStation Store, so you don't need PlayStation Now to play them. But through the PlayStation Now service, you can stream all of these games. Every single game you're seeing can be streamed completely from a server that Sony is running, but a lot of these games can also be downloaded straight to your PlayStation 4 to run. Now, all the PlayStation 3 games, they cannot be downloaded. Not any single one of them. They all have to be streamed. And believe me, folks, I wish I could tell you the streaming was good. This is where we started to run into some significant problems.
Yeah, so we decided to do some streaming. We streamed both using the PC because the PlayStation Now service does have PC streaming.
Yeah, which means, by the way, that you can actually get originally PlayStation-only games to run on PC if you want it to go that way.
Yeah, we tried it in that sort of ecosystem, and we tried it over on the PS4 as well. And streaming, we were dubious about whether or not Stadia is going to be a great streaming service, and this certainly is not proving to us that whatever Sony has up their sleeves running their servers and streaming directly to us, it just isn't working well. Even when it comes to titles like you played Ninokuni.
Yep.
What was your experience like with Ninokuni? Because a lot of people say, oh, streaming. No, you don't want to stream Twitch-based games. You can stream RPGs.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. Now Ninokuni does have some sort of action-y elements to its battle system, but it is a JRPG when all is said and done.
So I played 2 PlayStation 3 games back to back interact to kind of get a feel for it. So one was Luminous Supernova. I am the forever puzzle player when it comes to these consoles because I always want to see how they interact. A puzzle game, you got to be quick,
Absolutely.
right? That's all, most puzzle games. Luminous Supernova. Luminous Supernova?
Luminous.
Luminous?
Yeah.
Sucks streaming.
Okay.
Oh my god, why is it so bad? It's the controls have so much lag to them. So I was like, all right, sure, I can't play this. How about I try Ninokuni, because I was like, Ninokuni shouldn't really have those problems because it's not like a thing that you can do.
Yeah,
it's still there.
The battle system has some running around and stuff and some time-related things, but you would think that it'd be a little more, like, even if the streaming issues are there, it would be a little more forgiving and your experience would be like, it's fine. But still, yeah, it doesn't
have
quite...
a delay. I mean, it's noticeable in a lot of factors.
Yeah.
It's not just the controls, though. In my opinion, the controls are the most important thing. Now, we ran this PlayStation Now service in 2 separate locations. I ran it wired, I ran it wireless, and I also ran it wired from another location on 2 different systems. So I've played it on a laptop, I've played it on a desktop. Both computers, very high powered, very capable.
Yeah. What's your internet connection like? Just for
amazing.
Yeah.
I've got, so at home, at the time that I was testing, my internet wasn't doing the best, but it was 200 megabytes up, or 200 megabits, whatever it is, megabits up and megabits down. So I actually had a good upload and a good download, the fastest upload I've had in a very long time. Then here, we've got a 1 gigabit per second down and I think 50 up or whatever it is. So I was hoping that the down would help stuff. Didn't help. No matter what I did, wired, wireless, whatever, it still gave me the exact same kind of feel.
Yeah.
Now, we're in the same location. I didn't go to LA to test this out. I didn't go to like New York. I'm testing it from one specific location. Your results will likely vary depending on how close you are to the server.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, that just tells us that everyone's going to have a different experience, and likely, if I had the experience I had on multiple locations, we're probably looking at something that is going to be very good.
It looks to me like there's going to be a bottleneck, no matter what. Whether or not that bottleneck is like minute or not, it's still going to be there. And again, keep in mind that this is all PlayStation 3 games are streamed, right? That's a whole section of this library that you can only play streaming. You can't download them.
Yes.
So it is quite problematic. Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, what other problems could possibly happen? So we tried to play Pac-Man on PC, Pac-Man Champion Edition.
I forgot about this. Okay.
So we tried to play Pac-Man Championship Edition. Now we're going to show you footage. This is how long it takes to actually engage streaming on this platform. So the moment I hit yes here, this is what's going on. You're seeing a prepare your game kind of loading bar and then closing your last game session. You shouldn't see closing your last game session too often, especially if you're just starting fresh up. But there is a PlayStation 4 somewhere in the world now running this Pac-Man game.
That's what it seems to be, right?
Yeah.
Because we're hitting all these loading screens, and we'll see more likely beyond this.
Yes.
And yet your assumption at the very beginning was that, okay, no, this is running on I don't know what to call it, some mainframe somewhere where loading will be cut down drastically because it's fine, it's all digital now and it's all being run, streamed. It's
Eridus, I thought like Netflix or Game Live from the past. Game Live did something like that too.
Yes, a more seamless, just jump to it on the go. But it seems like it's a system somewhere.
Yeah,
someone's system.
You can tell right there. There's the loading screen of the PlayStation 4.
Some unused PlayStation 4 in Alaska. Yeah. That Sony, they were like, no one's using this. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Break into it, turn it on without them knowing.
So now you're seeing the game run. Now, unfortunately, because it is, from what I can tell, still a PlayStation 4 running the game somewhere. It is still loading the game like you would typically have. So all the loading is there. The problem, though, was the wireless controller has been disconnected. This happened while we were playing.
How is this possible?
Yeah, we couldn't figure out the solution. Then we think what we had to do to fix it might have been to unplug the controller and plug it back in. Because remember, while we're playing this on PC, we actually get a driver for the PlayStation 4 controller. So you will use a PlayStation 4 controller if you want to play these games. That's how I would recommend it. I think you could use a mouse keyboard, but it gets really messy. This isn't a clean, clear-cut service. There are issues, there are problems. There's a lot of things going on that make it a very difficult service to offer people. And you would think maybe the concept of playing these games streaming would be better on PlayStation 4 hardware, not just PlayStation 3. But then we played Doom. Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, the Doom stream was unbelievable. This game visually looks the way you expect the PlayStation 4 version to play. but its delay in input made it impossible for me to play. And
Absolutely.
And I thought maybe it's just me, so Adam gave it a shot too. And you're going to see me flailing around trying to figure things out. Because
That's just Shane relearning Doom a little bit, because we only jumped into this for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, a few minutes for each of us. But the main thing was just pressing that jump button and seeing the latency, which was like, I don't know.
Or aiming in general, it's really hard because it's like someone is softly inputting it just after you've done it, and it feels like it's just a little bit off, but it does.
I would like to. I'd say it's like an echo of what of what you're actually trying to input.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere off in the distance, you're like, jump.
Jump.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's totally what it feels like. And it's like, the thing is, I was expecting, okay, you're lowering the price, you're getting people back on here.
Yes.
Things have improved since launch.
That's what I was assuming, right?
That is not happening
And it
here.
doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like this is being pushed out more so to be competitive with the other streaming services that are happening, and also possibly to be what is the walk to the next generation of consoles, which I do want to talk about a little bit later. But before we get into that, do you want to jump into the Xbox Game Pass and what they have to offer?
Yes.
Very quickly before talking about some more of those things.
Xbox Game Pass, much smaller library, folks.
Yes.
Okay, you're looking at something that is clearly a little bit of I want to call it more of a Netflix-like model. As weird as PlayStation Now is a streaming service, Xbox Game Pass isn't. But what they've offered is a smaller selection of games. The difference, though, is they haven't released any streaming services yet. I imagine that's going to be coming
They're working
forward.
on Project xCloud, and we did see that at the last sort of big presentation that they had, yes.
But all the games you're seeing here, they can all be downloaded directly to an Xbox One, and they're playing at the proper resolution. They're playing just like any other game. That's all that's going on. You're just getting basically a timed pass to play these games. You get all the achievements, you get everything. It feels like a proper way to deal with this kind of service. Now, like I said, PlayStation Now gives you the ability to download some of the games, and that's fine, but Microsoft has totally focused on that. So everything you see here can be downloaded. You can start it up. You see how much space it takes up, and maybe that's a negative and a positive for some. You are downloading it, but the streaming service on PlayStation, you don't download anything really, so you can just not worry about your storage space.
From our experiences, the streaming is to such a negative experience with your overall gameplay that, like, I would never use it, and I would never suggest anyone uses it. So looking at the streaming of PlayStation Now as being a positive, like, I don't even see it as coming into play versus this other service. So even with the negatives of the streaming aspect of PS Now, I would still say that the library seems a little bit more full, maybe a little bit more enticing to gamers. But where Game Pass, where its library is a little bit better, is that Game Pass has things that are new.
Yeah, well,
right?
like literally, brand new. Yeah.
You want to play Gears 5? There it is, right?
Why would you ever buy Gears 5 when you can just get Game Pass and get it free, basically free? I think the Game Pass right now is still like $1 for the first 2 months. Ultimate's what I got for the first 2 months for $1, or for $2. So $2 in 2 months, you get Gears 5. You can just play Gears 5 completely, and then just never look at it again if you don't want to.
Yeah, and they were like, I believe Crackdown 3 was on Game Pass relatively quickly. Same thing with the Rare pirate game, Sea of Thieves as well, which is good. But my main gripe with these digital services is one that many people have. You don't own the game, and both of these services, all the titles that are on there are timed, and we don't necessarily know how long they will be up on these platforms before they're taken down. Are you going to be playing a game and have 30 hours into a title that you're really passionate about, and then a couple days later it's offline? Is that going to be something?
That's probably how it's going to play out. Now, a nice positive for Xbox Game Pass, and PlayStation Now may offer something like this too, but we really couldn't find it. Xbox Game Pass, there's a game on the service. Maybe you find out that it's going to be removed in the next month. You can buy it right now on Game Pass for an extra percentage off. So we saw you could get Wolfenstein 2, the Xbox Game Pass. You could just download it and play it now, or you get like 20% off right now if you actually have Game Pass and you want to buy a copy to own forever.
I'm not sure what the warning's like on them for taking down games, though. I would like to hope that, because I was trying to look up the information for like when they tell folks like, 2 weeks from now, maybe Wolfenstein 2 won't be online anymore. That has to be somewhere on the store, I feel like, or there should be like a little ticking clock or something. So like, oh, if you
Yeah.
want to buy it and get that discount
Yeah.
and continue to play
Right.
this title, here's how much time you have.
I think they're trying to be cagey with that because everyone's still trying to figure out how this streaming stuff is going to work, or
Yes.
how these games
And
delivered as a
it's-
monthly service
let's-
is going to work.
Let's face it, it's a bit of a mess when you take all things into consideration, because there are first-party titles that Microsoft may have their hands on forever.
Yeah.
And same thing with Sony, but there are other third-party titles that, like, oh, I don't know, maybe Square doesn't want, like Final Fantasy 13 was on PlayStation Now and it was taken off, and who knows when those titles will be taken off. Maybe
Yeah,
a
that's true.
collection's going to come, maybe a remaster is going to come out, and they have to take things off.
That's right.
Right.
And don't forget the games you saw on my Xbox Game Pass account there. There's actual games I already own that are installed on the system, so it doesn't bother showing you those because they're already installed. You just saw things that I hadn't installed yet.
Yep.
And I think that there is an interesting way to go about that, where you're looking at a service as a bulk order. In a year, you could spend quite a bit of money being a member to one of these services and probably make your money back in terms of how much you're saving playing new
I think
games.
absolutely, yeah.
But when it comes to Game Pass, I think it's more in that camp because you're getting brand new games.
Right.
With Sony, they're not really doing that with the PlayStation. And you know, I gotta be fair, just like you, I would not recommend anyone stream a game on the PlayStation Now service because you're really getting some latency. And even in things that shouldn't be there, I know this doesn't really work out 100%, but we played Metal Slug, or you played
Metal Slug 3, yes.
And Metal Slug 3 was running off the PlayStation 3, and you think, well, that's not really a
Oh, it was the
demanding
PlayStation.
game.
It was the PlayStation 4 version.
PlayStation
Yes.
4 version.
Yeah.
You don't think it's that demanding of a game, right? But it is a stream, so it has issues. A game like this is so small, it should just be downloaded so you could be playing it straight from your system. This should never be an option for a stream, because in my opinion, the amount of data that you're using to stream this game,
Oh, yes.
it doesn't make as much sense as just downloading the game itself.
Yeah, it's insane, right? Streaming a game is hundreds upon hundreds of megabytes,
Depending on how
data.
much quality is
Right.
coming through,
And
right?
meanwhile, a game like this should be very petite, right?
And I think that's another issue too I had. We noticed this while playing a bunch of the games. Every game I played, I saw some kind of compression artifact.
Ah, that's right. So
Yeah.
it isn't just the issue of streaming, like the latency being bottlenecked,
Yeah.
but it's the artifacts that we see
Yeah.
as well. Even when we were playing Doom, it looked good.
Oh, sure.
I don't think it looked perfect.
And when everything's in motion, you're not seeing it too much. But
Yeah.
if there's any dark scenes, you'll start to see kind of like squares, basically compression artifacts. They're compressing down the colors to be thrown through the tubes of the internet, basically.
Ooh, magic.
And what you're getting is a very compressed image of the game, and it sometimes looks really, really bad. Sometimes while I was playing, I noticed there was a little click in the audio or a drop in frames. Or
Yeah,
something
we did
like
notice that. We played Resogun a little bit, and
Yeah.
Resogun is, it's, I believe, a Housemarque title. Great games that are twitchy, and we want to test it out for latency because it's a very fast game.
Yes.
Right? So we noticed it played okay. Again, there were some latency issues. It didn't look all that great, and I remember when it first came out on the PS4 with all the voxels, and it just looked shiny and beautiful, and it looked relatively dull, and there were artifact issues, and like you said, sound problems, things like that.
Yeah. Now, also on Xbox Game Pass, by the way, you can download a lot of these games on the PC. They keep saying that, but there's not that many games that get transferred over.
That's right.
I've got the Ultimate Pass, so I was like, okay, let's see what I can get. There really wasn't that many games there. Maybe I was missing something, but everything I saw seemed to be a much more limited library of what was available, because many of these games are 360 games or Xbox only games, so they don't actually transfer, or console exclusive games that don't transfer over to a PC release.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks. I don't see the value in that too much. But for me, what it really boils down to is no matter what service you're going with, PlayStation Now, Xbox Game Pass, you got to download the game.
Absolutely.
Don't stream. And even if you think, oh, this is going to be playable for someone that doesn't care too much, no, they're going to notice, they're going to care, they're going to think the game is bad. And I think that's where these problems are going to lie with a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was just another reason. Like, okay, I am a physical dude. I buy everything and I collect things physically, and I'm just like, yep. These services still appeal to me in very little.
Yeah.
There's very little reason for me to jump on board. I don't want anyone to ever tell me when I can't play a game. I want to be in control. If I can't play a game, the reason I can't play a game in my library is because I don't have it, or it got scratched or beaten up or something, and that's my fault.
Yes.
I don't want it to be Microsoft's fault,
Yeah.
or Sony's fault, or Stadia's fault, or whatever service that I can't play these titles. I want to be responsible for them.
Yeah, the opening cutscenes of Ninokuni, for me, when I was playing, actually had like drops in the frames in the animation. The Studio Ghibli, beautiful animated sequences, didn't look that good. And I was like, no, that's not okay. These were high definition video files on a Blu-ray disc that looked amazing, and you're showing me like a stream of it that is looking worse than what I'd be getting on Netflix.
Even the PS3 version of that title still looks gorgeous today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to ask a little bit about kind of what's happening with these digital storefronts and stuff. We did posit that it's because Stadia is coming out.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that basically why you see such an aggressive price drop right now?
Oh my, yeah. So look, we're like a minute away from Stadia coming out. Well, not really a minute, but we're really close to Stadia coming out. So all these companies are getting nervous because they think that something might be going on. We're seeing these shift ups in these companies because clearly what I believe is going on is that they're seeing a legitimate threat to the video game industry with Stadia. And a lot of these game companies are like, hey, physical, hardware. And the higher ups are like, how are you not doing anything with cloud?
Yep.
So Microsoft is getting into cloud. Sony's been in the cloud for a while with their streaming services. But at this point in time, I think that they're all rushing to make something, and everyone is going to hit the wall at the same time, and they're all going to fail exactly the same way.
It's funny because it's all different approaches. Stadia is all streaming. They're all in for streaming. You can download games. No. Okay,
Stadia is a streaming only.
Yes.
Let me make that clear. Well, we are what we played with the PlayStation service. Okay, that doesn't mean that's the Stadia experience. Stadia might be even better.
Right, they have the money, right, and they have the technology. So I'm hoping that the streaming is better. But from what we played with PlayStation Now, my hopes are not high for that service. But I hope that's dashed. So we have Stadia, which is like going all in with streaming. We have PlayStation Now that's dabbling with streaming, but the bulk of things can be downloaded to your machine. And then we have Xbox, which streaming is a whisper in the wind with Xbox xCloud.
Too many names.
But
folks.
for now, it's all being downloaded directly to your console. So these are all different approaches, and yes, they're all going to come to a head within the next console generation. Do you feel like everyone is getting on board right now, or trying to get everyone on board for that transition to the next console generation? It's like, get into Game Pass now because it's going to carry over. Get into PlayStation Now.
Honestly, as a game developer, as a game publisher, as a game company that sells this hardware, maybe for Sony, it makes a lot of sense or Microsoft to be like, hey, why make a very expensive piece of hardware? We can just stream it. Why have anybody own the games when you can just stream the games?
That's the way I see it.
For game developers, this is scary. Can you imagine you developed a game for years and years, and suddenly your complete income is based off of a streaming service that may or may not hold your game up online for years, and just get rid of it arbitrarily one day because why not?
We're already hearing about the way that these things could go contractually with things like Google Play, where it is a time investment. The more time invested into a title, the more money would go to the developers. That's kind of what we'd heard is happening there. Is that what's going to be happening with these larger titles? Not just phone games, but like, huge studios could be working on titles that if you don't play them, these people are not being compensated very much for the time allotted.
I've heard the best defense of this is games that are going to be online only through a streaming service. You don't have to worry about piracy. Are you an idiot? Do you not have to worry about piracy when you can't? If you just tell me that suddenly I can share my login account for Stadia with all of my friends, piracy gonna happen quick, because suddenly all these people are just playing these single player experiences having purchased one streaming net. You know what I mean? Like the concepts and philosophies for streaming are going out the window right now because none of this stuff is working. Now, with Google Stadia, it's going to make a lot more sense because right now with the PlayStation Now service, as far as I can tell, there's a PlayStation 3 sitting somewhere on a shelf or a PlayStation 4 sitting right beside it.
In Alaska. We've already spoken about this.
And you're turning that thing on and you're trying to get that to work. Stadia is going to have the servers actually running the game. I think how it's working is PlayStation 4 turns on, sends signal to the server, server goes to you. From Stadia's perspective, it's going to be server runs game, server sends information to you. So you're getting it in one quick pack. So it should be working a lot better. The problem is, it's still not going to be great. We're seeing things on PlayStation now that are going to be evident of streaming in the future. I think there's going to be people that are going to not prefer this. I know Google is going to push it as much as they can, but they have notoriously failed with so many products. They have failed with more products than they've been successful
Absolutely, yeah. There's a website devoted just to that, dozens of failed projects. So.
And I don't see them doing this because at the end of the day, I don't believe developers are going to really appeal to this. They're going to see it and be like, hey, invest all this money on a game that disappears in a couple of years. No, you want to keep selling these games forever.
Shane, let's take streaming out of it completely. Do you see within the next generation or generations of consoles a jump to digital being the thing, where a lot of people have said that physical media is going to die, and it seems like physical media sales are down. Do you see these sort of services that we have right now as like the sort of birth pangs of Netflix's? Remember when they had snail mail and they'd like, oh yeah, we'll send you a DVD in the mail. We're like, that's dumb. But then eventually they did their own streaming thing and things sort of worked out. Does this seem like the snail mail like timeline? Are we in the snail mail time of what could be an all digital future that works?
I can see an all digital future that actually works.
Yeah.
Where streaming doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For video games is the interactivity of the medium.
Right.
Streaming a movie makes a lot of sense. It's 2 hours long. Everyone streams the exact same movie every single time. If you go to watch a movie and I go to watch a movie, you go to watch a movie, it doesn't matter. Yeah. We're all watching the same movie, right?
It doesn't worry about inputs. When you press the pause button on Netflix, you're not worried it takes like a split second to properly pause.
Yeah, you're not pausing someone else's video. It's buffered. It's on your device. Yeah. There's this concept that a lot of people had been throwing out there that, in the future, we're just going to have drastically underpowered devices that are going to stream all this stuff to us. I can understand that with a lot of things, but with video games, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because, many of the devices we have are smart devices. No matter what, if you want to stream a thing, like let's say you want to stream Netflix, you need a TV. Or a monitor, or a screen. You just need it. You can't stream things with a book. You can't stream things with your mind. So when it comes to video games, you're gonna need a controller. You're gonna need some kind of hardware. And because of that, that hardware should always have some innate ability to play the game natively in some degree. There's going to be variations of streaming in the future where a package of the game is given to you, and then aspects of the games are streamed to your system. And we've seen games like that in the past, and they work pretty decently. Nobody ever really complains about them too much unless, they're that old SimCity game that was really bad.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about that. It was
just called SimCity, and then it was called nothing because no one played it.
So that didn't work. But in the future, it might be a lot better. It's just what we're seeing now. I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
hands down.
Do I think, and do you think? I guess I should posit this question towards you. Do I think streaming will eventually work? Yeah, probably.
Maybe
like not tomorrow. But I mean, technology, it leaps and bounds. We see amazing things all the time.
It's true.
I just don't think it's going to be a viable option. But I feel like these are, like I said, sort of the birth pangs of a new tech, and it's going to take a long time to iron things out.
Nobody has offered a solution that that answers all the problems so far. Even Stadia has offered a whole bunch of things, but they're not answering the questions that a lot of people have had, like, how do you get 1 million people to play off of this service when everyone's playing the same game at the same time? There are issues and problems there that really haven't been addressed that I think are going to really start to cause issues like, oh, I want to play this game, I have to wait in a lineup. Things like that might start to happen. So right now, as it stands, if you were to just take PlayStation Now and Xbox Game Pass, I would be putting my vote into Xbox Game Pass. It is a far more competent, understandable thing. Even though PlayStation Now has a way better library of a lot more games, many of those games are stream only, and because of that, I could not tell you that's the way to go.
Absolutely.
If you know there's games that you want on one platform over the other, and look, you don't even need to own a PlayStation Now to play this PlayStation Now service. Then if there's that game you want to play, then sure. But on PC, stream only. On the actual PlayStation console itself, you can download those games. if you can find a game and you can download it and you can get it for $10 for a month and you can beat it in that time period, you don't care about owning it afterwards, I think that makes a lot of sense.
But if you're looking for PlayStation 3 games, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, the service is so bizarre to me. I'm in the same camp as you. Xbox Game Pass for me as well. Hey, I'm still probably never going to get the service.
Yeah.
I still don't have an Xbox One. I have a 360. I don't have a One.
I don't think if you don't own an Xbox One now,
I'm still not on board with either of these services, and I know many of our viewers feel the same way. But I do see the value more so in what Xbox Game Pass.
But folks, what do you think?
Ooh,
Are
it's a
you
long one.
excited about these services? Is one of these services more appealing to you than the other, or do you think Google Stadia is going to trump everyone and become the best service possible? Probably not, but hopefully something happens. I'd like to see it be a success than a failure.
Are you subscribed to either of these services that we've spoken about today? Are you from the future and subscribed to Google Stadia? Let us know in the comments below how things are going.